Hey everybody, what's going on? Hexlex here, got another Master Duel video for you. So, I know you're probably either looking at this deck's name, the main deck count, and or the contents and thinking, Hex, what are we seeing here? And I would not fault you at all for thinking that as soon as you just look at this list. This is definitely a deck that's going to make a lot more sense in practice than it looks on paper. This is, as the name implies, Formud Skipper, Scareclaw, Mathmech. Now, I know those are three things that sound like they might not make sense with one another, but the deck actually synergizes very well in a way that you wouldn't really expect, but allows you to do not only a standard Mathmech line of setting up a 3-material Laplacian, including Diameter, to go into the Laplacian with not only the ability to hand rip, but also omni-negate as well. But in addition to that, we get to do some additional hand ripping, not with another Laplacian, but rather with PSY Framelord Omega, and depending on if we open an additional level 4 monster that we can special summon, we even get to throw in an extra omni-negate and destruction/bounce in there as well. So not bad for a 1 or 2 card combo there, that's for sure. So the aforementioned star of the show here is actually going to be Formud Skipper, because this is our quote-unquote 1 card combo. This card by itself can be used to not only set up the Mathmech line, as I said, but also the PSY Framelord hand rep, and the way to get the additional omni-negate and destruction/bounce with Sargus and Regulus there is simply to have an extra level 4 monster that you can special summon to the field. And it could be any number of things. It could be Dynatherium. We are playing not only 3 copies of that, but also a copy of Noble Knight's Shield Bearer in order to help find it. It could also be the Phantom Knights of Shade-Brigandine, because it and Superfactorial are the only trap cards that we're playing. You could just set this and then activate it right away, and it counts as a level 4 monster. So it might seem a little bit weird, especially this deck being at 50 cards. The original deck, this was not my creation, by the way, let me state that as well very clearly. This was a list that was used, well, not this exact list, but this deck idea was used by Noah Bigelman, I believe his name is, in YCS London earlier this year in 2023. When I saw that deck profile, I was actually super stoked to try it for myself here in Master Duel, but at the time, we lacked Gigantic Champion Sargus, which isn't 100% needed for like the 1 card combo, but for the 2 card combo, you do definitely need the Sargus. So yeah, I was definitely waiting for this card to come out so that I could try this deck. I had to craft 4 Scareclaw URs, and I don't have any of the other ones in order to make this. Although, to be fair, I was already planning on crafting a Light-Heart anyway for Tri-Brigade Sprite. So it was really just crafting an additional 3 URs. So that was kind of a big ask for just one kind of gimmicky deck, but this deck is really cool and I like it a lot, so it was definitely worth it. The original build was actually 60 cards, but it was also built for the TCG, so there are going to be some differences here. Now, it might seem weird that, like, you know, if you're going to trim the deck down, why not get it down to 40? You trimmed from 60 to 50. I trimmed from 60 to 50 to get down to the bare minimum of what you would need to pull off the combos we're going to see here. And, well, 50 isn't actually the bare minimum. You could actually cut the Small Worlds and Noble Knight's Shield Bearer and go down to 46, but these 4 cards actually improve the consistency of our combo, even at 50 cards, so I think it's fine to go, you know, up to 50 for them. And also, if you do the math on it, despite playing 50 cards, we still have an over, I think we might be an almost 85% chance to open Formud Skipper between the Skipper, the Piri Reis Map, the Cynet Mining, the 1-for-1, and then the Small Worlds as well. There's a lot of different ways to bridge, not only into the Formud Skipper, but really into any monster in this deck using Small World. Let's see, what else do we have here? Oh, the Scareclaw Acro. This might look a little bit weird to have another random Scareclaw monster, but sometimes if you open a Reich-Heart, what you can do is you can go Formud Skipper into Light-Heart and then, you know, reveal the Light-Heart to go into it and do the Primeval Planet. Normally you would grab the Reich-Heart there, but if you already opened one, you can summon Acro instead, and then Reich-Heart can just be your extra spare level 4. In that regard, it might not actually be a terrible idea to have a 3rd copy of this card in this deck. It might seem a bit weird because we do specifically search it, but it also can act as an extender if you want to just grab the Acro instead, as I said. So Yeah, this deck is really, really cool. Again, it might not make sense on paper, but the combo line, the first game that I'm going to show you is just the combo line, pretty bare bones. So we'll go ahead and explain it more there. For the time being, I'm just going to go ahead and break this deck down card by card. I'm sure a lot of people will be asking for that if I didn't, because there are a lot of cards that you wouldn't normally see played definitely together, but really just anywhere here. So in this deck, we are playing 1 PSY Frame Driver, 3 Formud Skipper, 3 Maxx, 2 PSY Framegear Gamma, 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 1 Scareclaw Acro, 3 Dynatherium, 1 Mathmech Sigma, 1 Mathmech Nabla, 2 Mathmech Diameter, 1 Springans Brothers, 1 Noble Knight Shieldbearer, 2 Scareclaw Reich-Heart, 3 Mathmech Circular, 3 Parallel Exceed, 1 Therion King Regulus, 1 1-for-1, 3 Cynet Mining. We have the 1 Mathmech Equation, 3 Piri Reis Map, 3 Small World, 1 Scareclaw Arrival, 1 Primitive Planet. Can you tell I'm used to talking about tier elements? 1 Primitive Planet, Reichphobia, 2 Called by the Grave, 3 The Phantom Knights of Shade Brigandine, and then finally 1 Mathmech Superfactorial. That's going to be our 50-card main deck. Now for our extra deck, we're on 1 PSY Framelord Omega, 1 Primathmech Laplacian, 2 Primathmech Alembertain, 1 Springans Merrymaker, 1 Gigantic Champion Sargus, 1 Divine Arsenal Oz Zeus Sky Thunder, 1 Salamangreat Almiraj, 1 Scareclaw Light-Heart, 1 Cyberse Wicckid, 1 Update Jammer, 1 PSY Framelord Lambda, 1 Splash Mage, 1 Decode Talker Heat Soul, and then finally an Accesscode Talker. So that's going to do it for our deck here. Now I'm going to show you just how this deck plays. Alright, so as I said earlier, this first duel, which is going to be actually against Branded Bestial Despia, a 60-card variant of it, is going to pretty nicely illustrate what our ideal turn 1 combo is going to look like here. So, we look at our opening hand. We have access to the Formud Skipper with the Cynet Mining. We have the Dynatherium acting as an extra level 4 monster, although we did also open both the Scareclaw Reich-Heart and the Mathmech Circular, so we have plays pretty much no matter what, but this will show you what this combo is like. So I'm going to go ahead and start by activating the Dynatherium here. You want to summon this. It doesn't have to be the first thing, but you will just want to make sure you don't have a level 4 monster in your graveyard when you are special summoning this. So sometimes I like to run it out right away just to make sure, but you can play it a little bit later in the combo line as well. But in any case, going to use Cynet Mining pitching the Scareclaw Reich-Heart because we don't need the extra copy to add Formud Skipper. Now going to normal summon Formud Skipper and reveal the Scareclaw Light-Heart. That will allow me to then link summon into Scareclaw Light-Heart because Formud Skipper is now a Scareclaw monster. We get 2 searches. Formud Skipper will allow us to grab a level 5 or higher Cyberse monster from our deck to our hand. And on top of that, we have the Scareclaw Light-Heart effect to add the Primitive Planet Reichphobia for our deck to our hand. So we're going to chain block it so the Formud Skipper is chain link 1. Adding that level 5 or higher Cyberse monster is going to be slightly more important than the Light-Heart effect. I mean, either way, we could still make plays from this point, but the Formud Skipper effect is going to be a little bit better. So Chainlink 2, Light-Heart is going to resolve first. That will add the field spell, the Reichphobia to our hand. Now, the Formud Skipper adds Parallel Exceed. We're going to activate the Primitive Planet in order to add the Scareclaw Reich-Heart, the second copy from our deck to our hand. Again, normally you wouldn't, if you didn't open this, you would just grab it anyway. This is kind of why we have 2 as well. So Reich-Heart's effect is going to activate. That will add the Arrival as well. Now we get to link the Light-Heart and the Scareclaw Reich-Heart into PSY Framelord Lambda. That might seem like a bit of a weird link to go into, but it'll make sense later, I promise. Now, we're going to special summon the Parallel Exceed into one of Lambda's zones, as well as the other from our deck. And now we're going to overlay our 2 level 4 Parallel Exceeds into Springans Merrymaker. From here, Springans Merrymaker is going to dump the Springans Brothers from our deck to the graveyard. Now we can overlay the Gigantic Champion Sargus on top of the Merrymaker. We can then use Sargus' effect in order to add the Therion King Regulus from our deck to our hand. Now we can special the Regulus, equipping that Springans Brothers from our graveyard to it. And we have an Omni-Negate as well as an extra destruction and bounce setup. Now, we're going to use the Scareclaw Arrival to bring back the Reich-Heart, overlay it with that Dynatherium we summoned right at the beginning, and now we can summon the Primathmech Alembertain. And now we're finally going to some Mathmech stuff. Going to use Alembertain here to add Diameter, but normally you would add Circular. We can also use the Gigantic Champion Sargus. By the way, this activates whenever any Exceeds monster detaches effect to either destroy or bounce any card on the field. So you don't have to do this for the combo, but a neat thing you can do is when Alembertain detaches its materials, you can use the Sargus effect in order to bounce the Reichphobia back to your hand to potentially activate next turn for another search, a little bit more advantage there if needed. So now we can special the Circular from our hand. Note that we did not actually send Sigma from our deck to the graveyard like you normally might. We actually sent Mathmech Nabla, where they're going to use Alembertain to sack itself to bring back that Nabla. Circular's effect will then activate. That will add the Mathmech Superfactorial from deck to hand. Now Nabla's effect will activate. It'll sacrifice itself in order to bring out the Diameter from our deck to the field. This is important because this will establish not only the third Mathmech name, but also ensure that one of them is going to be Diameter so that it has the Omni Negate. Now, you might have noticed there, went by a little bit quickly, but we're actually not overlaying or linking. We're going to Synchro Summon, because even though we've been doing Mathmech stuff, we haven't done anything that's actually locked us into only summoning Cyberse monsters. So I get to Synchro Summon the Diameter and the Circular in order to summon PSY Framelord Omega. And this is where it all comes back around to the Lambda again. We're going to use Omega's effect to rip a card from our opponent's hand face up, and then now we get to use Lambda's effect during the end phase to search Gamma. Now, unfortunately, I ripped like the one card like that's in the meta right now that's not going to banish with Omega, and that's being tragedy. So my opponent does get to get a free search for an Alibur here, but normally, of course, this would just be robbing a card from your opponent's hand. And then, yeah, now I'll set Superfactorial and pass back to the opponent. So that is the combo line. That's why we play such a convoluted 50-card deck, is to do just that. But as you can see, it does end up being very much worth it. On top of the normal Mathmech setup of Superfactorial for 3, including Diameter into Laplacian, we also have, let me go ahead and grab the Gamma off Lambda here. We have the Gamma that we search off of Lambda and can also activate as a result. We have the Sargus on the field that can destroy or bounce a card when the Exceeds monster detaches its material, so that will include the Laplacian that we are inevitably going to summon. We also have an Omni Negate in the form of Regulus, and then we even got the Primeval Planet back to our hand for a little bit of extra advantage on the next turn as well. So I think that was all definitely very much worth it, and I think it's a very cool combo line. Like I said, I just think it's very, very neat. So, but it's going to start off with a Branded Fusion. I could negate it with Regulus, but I have the Ash Blossom in hand, so I'm just going to go ahead and use that to stop the Branded Fusion. That already severely limits what my opponent can do. They're going to summon Alibur and not activate because I have Gamma. They're going to try to battle over Lambda, presumably to try to activate a monster effect at some point, but I've got the Laplacian, which will not only send the Alibur that's threatening the Lambda, but also one card randomly from my opponent's hand to the graveyard. And then from there, I still have a live PSY Framegear Gamma, as well as, of course, the Therion King Regulus for negations as well. So, as you can see, it's a very, very strong turn 1 that this deck is capable of, and indeed, I am very impressed by what such a seemingly random pile of cards can accomplish. Let's go ahead and take a look at the next duel here. Alright, so this next game is going to be against Fluandrees, another deck that can be very, very scary to go against, much like Abyssal Branded Despia, but you know, when we've got the first turn, we typically don't have too much to worry about. That's going to be the case here. So we're going to do pretty much the same combo line as before, but we're going to pivot at a couple of points because we've already opened the Circular and Regulus. Last time, I didn't really account too much for the Circular being opened because I just wanted to show a standard combo line, but this time we're going to play with that a little bit more in mind. So our opponent did have a Maxx, but thankfully we opened the Ash Blossom as well. So we managed to win the minigame, and we get to go into our combo line. Just going to go ahead and let it play out here at normal speed, just in case anyone wanted to see it again. Revealing Light-Heart, and then linking for it. Going to use the Reich-Heart to add the field spell, or the Light-Heart rather, and then the field spell adds the Reich-Heart. We special the Reich-Heart to our opponents, or Jesus, to our field. What I meant to say regarding opponents is we can still Dynatherium at this point because we still don't have a level 4 monster. Well, we didn't when we summoned the Dynatherium to summon to our opponent's field before we linked off the Reich-Heart there. But again, you just want to make sure that you're summoning Dynatherium either at the beginning or just at some point when you don't have a level 4 monster to get rid of, which is usually going to be pretty close to the beginning there. So I'm gonna link these two off once again for the Lambda. I think it's so cool how all these like very seemingly random archetypes end up gelling together in such a neat way. This is the epitome of what I love about pile decks. It's funny because a lot of people will actually complain about pile decks that oh, you're just mashing up a bunch of random cards and the combos always take forever, and well, the latter might be true a lot of the time, but I don't understand the desire for players to just purely stay within archetype every single time. I get it for some decks, but to like try to be a purist in every account, I don't know. I think it's fun and very interesting to see how these like seemingly totally different decks can actually have a game plan that overlays well enough together, so that way you can form like, you know, something that's greater than the sum of their parts, right? Like, again, I could just be playing a standard Mathmech deck and be accomplishing more or less the same thing. But not only do we get the extra benefit, again, of extra hand rips, extra disruption, extra negation, but you can throw that extra style and pizzazz onto it, too. That, I don't know, and also just using all these cards that we don't normally get to use, like, you know, even though it's a good card, PSY Framelord Omega is not a card I typically use, and even Gamma I don't use in most decks, but also just the fact that it's part of our combo line is so very cool. Again, huge shout out to Noah Bagelman, the inventor of this deck, who featured it, or got featured, rather, during round 10 of YCS London there, so... Opponent's got an evenly, but we have a Regulus, so even if the evenly did resolve, or if my opponent had a second one, it's obviously very easy to just keep the Superfactorial here. And yeah, opponent is not able to play around said Superfactorial, so they are going to go ahead and concede. Again, even if we didn't have the Regulus there, the extra Omni Negate, which we did because we're playing the cool version of Mathmech, we still would have had a full Laplacian setup with the hand rip and the negate. I don't think our opponent would have been able to do too much there. All right, we have some more games to look at, so let's go ahead and take a look at this next one here. Okay, so I'm sure you're thinking, you know, Hex, this deck does very, very well, obviously, when it goes first. What if you have to go second? Well, this game against Sword Soul is going to show just how well this deck can perform, not only going first, but going second as well. Because one thing I kind of failed to point out during the actual deck profile, but keep in mind, not only are we a normal Mathmech deck in our turn 1 setup, we also definitely have access to Update Jammer Accesscode Talker, so going second, not too much of a problem. This hand would have been so cracked going first, if only we had gone first, but, you know, this hand is still equally cracked going second. Alright, opponent's going to drop a Moye on us here. It's so annoying that for, like, Moye, it shows, you know, average number of cards used and not the win or usage rate. Like, yes, Master Duel, I'm aware that most people run 3 Moye, but can you tell me, like, what the usage and win rate of it is? It's weird how it's so selective. And it is card by card, too. I thought that, you know, maybe by watching enough replays, I would eventually see stats on all the cards. But no, it's definitely locked per card, which is pretty disappointing. I really would have liked to have gotten to see the stats for all the cards and then use that for some very nice meta-analysis. I'll still attempt to do so with the stats we're given, but it seems, as usual, we'll have to be satisfied with what Konami is content to give us. Which, to be fair, most games don't show off win and usage rate percents. That's usually something you have to data mine, so that's pretty cool. So when I start by summoning Dynatherium, my opponent's going to respond with a Maxx, but thank God I've got this Call by the Grave. Now, I really thought my opponent was going to use Baron here, and I think they actually intended to, but they're going to respond with Chi-Shao instead. I have to assume this was a misclick. But even if my opponent had responded with the Baron, we definitely still would have gone for it, because in this meta, nobody's playing Nibiru still, which I am starting to think is a mistake. I'm probably going to start, I already talked about this in another video, but I think I'm about to start putting Nibiru back in my decks moving forward. But not only is Nibiru not really a thing here, but my opponent's got a lot of stuff on board, so it's not like they could have imprinted me either. So Ash Blossom would have been really the only thing they could have summoned off of the, or they could have found off the Maxx there. And I still could have probably gone for game. Here, since my opponent didn't Maxx me, I'm just going to go for the Zeus line here, actually. And yep, I'm going to use the Sargus to battle over my opponent's Baron. Now I get to overlay Sargus for a 4 material Zeus. If you're not going to go for an OTK, this is another very good line you can go for going second. Literally any 2 level 4 monsters, make the Merrymaker, make the Sargus, make the Zeus with 2 materials, which gets you a board wipe, followed up with the Regulus you searched off of Sargus. So now I have a Zeus board wipe and an Omni Negate going into my opponent's 2-card hand here. Very, very nice. They are free to summon another Moye, revealing the Vishuda if they would like. I'm going to respond with Regulus. Just going to go ahead and negate that. Regulus does not negate destroy, it only negates, so now my opponent's Moye is streamed on board. They don't even get to summon the Vishuda. Even if they did summon Vishuda, I would have just responded with Zeus's effect, and yeah, now we normal summon Diameter. I mean, we also have the Circular in hand, so there's no shortage of plays we can make here. And my opponent's just going to go ahead and concede in response to that. So yeah, as you can see, going second, we definitely have a lot of options. In addition to, of course, going first with our main combo line. We've got one more duel to watch. Let's go and take a look at it here. Alright, our last opponent is on a deck that I am not going to give away just yet, but it's going to be one that is very familiar. So, let's go ahead and take a look here. We are going second once again. I did open a Maxx, so we do have that going for us here. I'm going to go ahead and fire off the Maxx during the draw phase, but opponent opened a Called by the Grave. So, alas, we are not going to, you know, they won the minigame. We actually get to play YuGiOh. That's what I meant to get at there. So, gonna go to standby and then main. Opponent's gonna start by normaling the Sprite red, followed by a blue, adding a jet. So yeah, I'm like, okay, so it's looking like normal Sprite, just pure Sprite jet for starter. They have a lot of options here, and hey, wait a second. Is that a tuning? Is that Assault Synchron? This is actually Bestial Sprite Synchro. And Debrany, if you are watching out there, which I think you might be because we're playing very, very similar builds, you are very cool. I will instantly think anybody who plays this deck is cool. Our builds are not that different at all. They're not playing Imperms. Instead, they're playing a Branded Beast, another copy of Saronir, and another copy of Jet. Which I've actually been thinking about cutting Imperms from more Bestials myself, just because the Bestials do act as additional disruption. Oh, they're also playing one of the Atlanteans instead of Deep Sea Sentry as their level 2 non-tuner Sea Serpent of choice for Diva. But yeah, I definitely recognize a full combo when I see it. Playing against this deck, so they get to go for the Sprint. Sprint's going to send Shinobi Necro. They get to banish Shinobi Necro and Cupid Pitch to bring back the Chaos Ruler. That'll also summon the Shinobi Necro. And I know they added the Nemesis Corridor, so I know that's going to come down at some point too. They've got a Magma Hut on top of that, so they get to just go for the full line here. Magma Hut's going to sack itself to bring back the Lubellion. Lubellion's going to place that Branded Beast face up on the field. What they could have actually done if they really wanted to was make the Excel Synchro Stardust. That would have actually got an extra level 2 tuner on the board. That Diva they excavated, they could have summoned that, and then they would have had the level 8 Dragon still for the Excel Stardust. So, not to like nitpick or anything, but to be fair, they don't even need the extra level 2 tuner on board for anything anyway. So, yep, here's the Nemesis Corridor. Boom, Corridor sacks itself for the Colossus. And we still have a Baldrake to summon here, as well as the Sprite Starter left in hand here too for the extra jet. Now we're going to link those off for the Elf. So if we actually brought back that extra level 2 tuner, we could have saved the Baldrake there. Had we gone into the Excel Stardust with Magma Hut and Shinobi. Oh no, you know what? There wouldn't have been an extra level 2 tuner because we use a Shinobi Necro. Never mind, disregard what I said. This line is correct. This line is 100% correct. Debrany has definitely got it down here. So I'm going to summon this Dynatherium and then this Diameter, and I'm like, maybe if my opponent lets me go into a Zeus line, but no, there's no chance. Yeah, the Sprint gets the detached material from the Harbinger that will bounce my Merrymaker. No Sargus Zeus line for me. Opponent's going to use the Baron to destroy my Bluff Cynet Mining, and no surrendering. I am absolutely just going to let Debrany smack me for lethal here. Might be a little bit biased in having shown off this game, but hey, you know what? That's an easy way to get featured against me. Just play my own deck. Go figure. Well, I mean, it's not my deck. Bestial Sprite Synchro is blah blah blah, whatever. So, in any case, very very good games there. Love to see that combo. Honestly, on either side of the table. So. That's going to go ahead and do it for the games with this Formud Skipper Scareclaw Mathmech deck. Now let's go ahead and go into our outro. Alright everybody, thank you so much for watching all the way to the very end of the video like this. That means a whole lot to me. Not just personally, but it's also a great way of supporting the channel as well. If you're interested in supporting the channel in other means, you can of course feel free to comment and or subscribe right here on YouTube. I'm always looking to the comments section. You guys leave some pretty awesome feedback as far as like constructive criticism goes when it comes to deck building, gameplay, channel content, all that stuff. So feel free to leave your opinion down there. I will be sure to take a look at that there. And then subscribing is going to be the best way to get notifications of when these videos drop. That does happen every day, by the way, so if you're looking for daily Master Duel content, you've come to the right place. And there are more places where you can get some daily Master Duel content. If you check out the description below, follow the top link over to my Patreon page. There for just $5 a month, which is as much as you pay for a booster pack. You'll find a lot more value than a pack full of filler over there. We've got some previews for content upcoming here on the channel. We've got some exclusive games that are only posted over on Patreon over there. We've got some Q&As, and then you can also have your name featured in this lovely credit sequence where I thank all of the people who are helping contribute over there on Patreon. It's a huge support to the channel, and it really means a lot as well. So thank you everyone who is donating that is featured here on screen. And again, you know, it's not just a pure donation, you do get some more daily Master Duel content over there just for being a part of the Patreon. But I think that's about all the time that I have for today's video. Once again, I just want to thank you so very much for sticking all the way to the end of the video. Again, it just means a lot as I do put a decent amount of work into getting these videos out every single day. But that's about all the time that I've got for now. So without further ado, this is XLex. I'm signing out, and I hope you have a fantastic day.